Welcome to SRG Insights, where we answer your questions about sales, sales management, and sales training. And today's question is:
Nadiadwala, CEO of Maroof Marketing Consultancy, asks, should we include sales training as a complete course instead of a few-hour workshop?
That's a really interesting question because sales training is being delivered in a variety of different ways given technologies, distributed sales organizations. And what I would say is I wouldn't really think about it necessarily as either a course or just a couple-hour workshop. I'd really think about it programmatically, or think about it as a program. And programs typically have, three aspects to them: a before, a during, and an after. And so when you think about it as a program, the first thing you want to think about are what are the training objectives? What's going to change as a result of this training, and why is that going to be sustainable? So some common training objectives today could be improved prospecting skills, either to acquire new accounts or go deeper within existing accounts. Could be we're seeing a lot of interest around pre-call planning and research, given how difficult it is to get appointments. Doing a better job of asking questions and active listening skills to really understand at a deeper level what the customer's needs and priorities are. Being able to manage objections, and obviously being able to gain commitment. So those are some of the key skills that you might focus on in a training program. What's really important to think about is, as I mentioned earlier, the before, during, and after. And before could include things like consultation, so you really understand the training audience, who they're selling to, what the sales cycle is, what the competitive landscape is like. Customization, so that the program is highly relevant to the learners, and I'll touch on that a little bit more. And also assessment, so you really get a good benchmark of where people are before the training. And what we've found is that there's 5 key factors that affect the quality of training. And the first one is really motivation. And these are all covered in a white paper, and you can download this white paper off our website. It's called Maximizing the Effectiveness of Sales Training. But the first one's motivation. That really gets to, is there executive sponsorship from the sales leaders? Is there a communication as to what does the program involve? Why are we doing it? Why is it important? What's going to change as a result of this program? And equally important, active involvement from the frontline sales managers. So I'll just give a quick example. We've been working with a large industrial company, and we were scheduled to go out and do a 2-day workshop, and they had already done the consultation and customization. And the sales leader, the senior sales leader, who was a president of that division, brought in their vice presidents and brought in the team a half day early. And they did pre-work related to real-world accounts, and they were primed and ready for the training. And those VPs and the president themselves really participated in the program. And that creates a lot of accountability, both from management and the participants. The second issue that I mentioned I touch on is the one of customization. Salespeople make decisions fairly rapidly. And so they're thinking, is this program really relevant to me? And so I think it's not that difficult to do. You really think about what are the exercises, what are the role plays. And I'll give the example of managing objections, as opposed to just going through an objection handling model, being able to apply that objection handling model to real world objections. So actually thinking through what are our top objections, and then in the role plays actually applying what they've just learned so that they're getting very practical skills application. The third area is spaced learning, and this kind of gets to the genesis of your question in terms of, should it be a course or should it be a shorter workshop? Spaced learning says the best kind of learning is blended learning. So again, thinking about what's going to happen before, maybe an online assessment, what's going to happen during the workshop, maybe it's a 2-day on-site, and then what's going to happen afterwards? Are there online reinforcement sessions? Are we incorporating e-learning? Are we sending out tips and techniques on a weekly basis? So again, thinking about that use of spaced learning and technology to really support your program goals. The fourth area, and where a lot of training fails, is reinforcement. And that's really unfortunate because it's so easy to reinforce training today. You can have online reinforcement sessions, you can have training snippets, you can have sales simulations, and most importantly, you want to get your sales managers involved and coaching to the skills that were learned so that they're covering these skills in their sales meetings, they're observing these skills on sales calls, they're putting together personalized coaching plans for each person that attended the training. And those coaching plans are focusing on the 1 or 2 key skills they really need to improve on. And then over time, you can modify those plans. And you're looking for consistent improvement. And then another area where a lot of organizations struggle is measurement. And the reason they usually struggle there is because the program was not was again delivered more as a course as opposed to a program. So by thinking through what's going to change as a result, you can then measure behavior change. And behavior change, for example, overcoming objections, just going back to that example, you could observe on a sales call, did they apply the model, are they using it? And then over time you can look at what we call level 4 assessments or level 4 feedback in terms of business results. Are we getting higher win rates? Are we getting improved margins? Are we seeing accelerated ramp-up time? So again, it's not that difficult to measure programs, particularly when you've set out those goals in advance. So just to conclude, I think it was a really interesting question. Again, we encourage our clients and everyone to think about their training as a program with a before, during, and after. And I hope that helps answer your question. And good luck and much success in all your training endeavors. Thank you.